Well, a happy Thanksgiving to all. Welcome. This is Cuz's Corner as we get you set holiday version. So we want everybody to have a happy Thanksgiving, blessed holiday weekend. The best, right? We love it. There's nothing better than Thanksgiving in Philadelphia because it's Thanksgiving and it's football. Football. Cuz's Corner presented by the one, the only Parx Casino, Street Road Bend, Salem. Of course, it is Parx Casino. We'll give you the whole lineup that's coming to Parx in the end of 24 and into 25. Some headliners that you'll find at the Excite Center. What a great time. Over the holidays, make sure that you hang out at Parx Casino. It's such a great time. All right, you have the Parx Grill Steakhouse, the Bamboo Noodle House, then of course I'm forgetting about the best, right? The sports book, the slots. You have the new Rocky slots, the Peaky Blinders, the Breaking Bad slots. Tremendous. All the table games. It's just a mecca of fun. All right. So go to parxcasino.com. Just remember, you got to be 18. Excuse me. Just remember, you got to be 21. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right. So let's commence with my main man, the Brain, as we're going to talk some football. It's a holiday. What are you doing for Thanksgiving, buddy?
Well, it's funny, Anthony. I'm actually right now in New Jersey. I'm actually going to be flying back to see my parents. We're leaving tomorrow, and we're going to have Thanksgiving with them on Thursday. Then, Anthony, I'm flying back here into Philly the next day, but I wanted to, see my parents for Thanksgiving. Flying back next day, have my high school reunion. Man, time flies. 35th high school reunion, brother. Wow. 35th. I know. Harrison High School.
That's awesome.
Harrison High School, yeah. So I'm doing that, and then I'm doing the Eagles game pregame show on Sunday, and then I got a guys' weekend the following weekend. We do like my Michigan buddies come up and we watch the game. So looking forward to that.
Where do you guys watch the games at?
In Atlantic City, my buddy gets something called like a man cave at one of the casinos there, and like he lets them we watch the games there or whatever. Not as nice as Parx, not as nice. But I got to tell you something. I'm not just saying it. Because I see all these casinos. I actually think Parx is one of the nicer casinos. Just like a lot of these casinos I go to, I think are dingy. They're not nice.
Parx is really nice. We do the show, and I'm a big
it's really nice
for Parx. But I love going there. I mean,
it's really nice.
If I didn't have all the people come to my house, we would be there tonight. But
it's really, really nice. For everyone watching, it's a great place to watch a game. It's a great place to eat.
Sports book
it's a good place to hang out. It's really nice.
It is. It's a great place.
Yeah.
I love it there. I do.
I'm with you.
I think it's such a great spot. All right, let's get started. Right. We'll start with the NFL, and then always we'll get into college, because this is like the last big college weekend, which makes me sad because I love college football. Now, the only good thing is the playoffs take on a whole different meaning. So it's not the end of college football as we know it. Here we go. Let's go. We'll start Thanksgiving Day. Let's analyze these games. First game, Lions and Bears. Lions, big favorite. Lions, 10.5-point favorite, Brain.
Well, I got to tell you, Anthony, it's funny. And remember last week, Anthony, I said to you on one of the shows, I go, I'm hearing Brock Purdy's not going to play.
Yes.
And I made my biggest bet of the week by far on Green Bay, which got lucky. This is a game, Anthony, I really was neutral to slight lean Detroit. But the more I'm hearing from people in the know, I think Detroit's banged up. I actually think they're banged up. I'm actually going to bet the Bears plus 10.5. Only because, again, I think there's real injuries to Detroit. Amon-Ra St. Brown, I believe, is legit hurt. I believe David Montgomery is hurt. I believe Decker, the offensive lineman, is hurt. And some other injuries as well, too, Anthony. So listen, I mean, while they are a great team, and I still think they should definitely win the game, don't get me wrong. Um, Bears have actually shown a little bit of spunk since they fired the coordinator. I'm not saying they're good or anything like that, but based on the information I got, potentially injury situation news, I've flipped my lean from leaning Detroit not going to bet it to now I'm actually going to put a wager on the Bears plus 10.5.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll be honest with you. The Bears can get to the quarterback, and if Decker's hurt and doesn't
Yeah,
play, I mean, that changes things. And I'm a big Montgomery fan. I think Gibbs is ridiculous, right?
terrific. Yeah.
But Montgomery is such a great 1-2 punch with him, and so that's a big deal. And obviously St. Brown. Now, I agree with that. I think they have enough to get it done, but I think 10.5 is too high. So I'm with you. I like the Bears in that game.
Got a quick question for you. Who do you think was better, Anthony? Because I work with Barrett Brooks, and he said I was nuts, called me crazy when I said this. Thunder and Lightning, Charlie Garner, Ricky Waters, or David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs. Because I said Gibbs and Montgomery. He's like, he's like, you're nuts. Those guys were way better. Talking about the Eagles guys.
No, I completely agree with you. I think Montgomery and Gibbs.
Yeah, because I respect his opinion. Obviously, he knows the game. He played the game. He's a smart guy.
Yeah, I think that's home cooking.
Yeah, because I thought Gibbs is really like look, as good as Ricky Waters was.
I'll be honest with you, I don't think it's close the other way. And I'm a huge Eagles fan.
All right.
I mean, I don't even know how you could say, like, unless you're just gotten goggles. And listen, I appreciate the green goggles. I wear them sometimes. I have them on.
We all do.
But if you're asking me about players, and I mean, Ricky
I think
Waters
Gibbs is a special player.
Charlie Garner is a nice player. Gibbs is special.
I did like Charlie Garner. Yeah. I did really like Charlie Garner. I thought he was unless you lived in Philly, I don't think people realize how great that guy was. But I think Gibbs is a really special player. Like I actually think I don't know if I'd say top 5 in the NFL. I mean, obviously Saquon, clearly would be number 1 right now. Maybe Henry too. But I think he may be top 5.
Saquon, Henry.
Who's 3? Is it him?
Well, you're catching me off guard. I got to think about it.
Yeah, I'm saying I'm off guard too.
I'm just looking at the conferences, right? In the East, you got McCaffrey in the NFC.
McCaffrey doesn't look right to me, man.
No, I'm just going through the backs of my mind, right? McCaffrey, Connor, Walker.
Walker. No, I think he's better than
Jacobs.
He's better than him.
Who else? Who am I? I'm trying to go through it. I like that
Bucky Irving
too. Someday will be good.
Anthony, I got to tell. Wait, you just named my favorite player in NFL. Did you watch him again last week?
Yes,
I know.
He's he's so underrated.
Everyone watching your fantasy leagues. If you ever trusted me for one thing in this world, take Bucky Irving next year in your fantasy leagues. Don't ask questions. Don't take your $200. Take Bucky Irving next year. Be the best advice I've ever given you. He's a star in the making.
He is. He's ridiculous. Shane, I like him.
Who?
Kane from
he's good. He's good.
A-Chain.
He's good. Devin Achane is good. Jonathan Taylor is good.
Jonathan Taylor don't have enough
juice.
His line. He doesn't have enough line play in front of him.
I think Anthony, I got to tell you, I think I'm going to say Gibbs is the 3rd best running back.
Yeah, I mean, I
agree.
I'm just going through it. A chain. I'm thinking Miami.
A chain's good.
Cook is good.
He's good, but he's not as good.
I agree. I'm just kind of named backs off the top of my head.
Yeah, I liked Pacheco before Pacheco got hurt. I thought he was great. Pacheco before he got hurt, I don't know he's going to come back the same player, but before he broke his leg, he was terrific.
Yeah. No. I mean, I'm with you. Gibbs is isn't that amazing?
He's really good. You would never think of it maybe as the 3rd best guy, but now they've done this with you quickly.
Kyron Williams is pretty nasty himself.
He is. But anyway, going back to this game, Anthony, I just think injury factor wise, I'm going to put a bet on the Bears 10.5. Obviously, it's scary going against a team as great as Detroit. But I'll say this: they were laying 13 against the Jaguars that were a corpse. The Bears, say what you want to say, they're not a corpse. They'll play a professional game on Thanksgiving. They'll show up. Lions win, but I say the Bears cover this one.
All right. The other part of its Thanksgiving tradition, the Cowboys. So in the battle of the backups, Cooper versus Cutlets. All right. So Giants, Cowboys. I mean, it's a hold your nose but it's Dallas. It's Thanksgiving. Everybody will watch it. I struggle with this. I guess I like Dallas. The total's pretty low.
Well, Anthony, listen, I got to just say a quick question for you. If you were a coach, I always wonder these things, and you know so many coaches, you know so much about the game. If Malik Neighbors did what he did to Brian Daboll to you, would you do anything, or would you just take if someone just called me out that blatantly, I guess maybe he just doesn't have the authority just to bench the kid.
Listen. He gets with his GM and goes, dude, like, I can't take this because it usurps my power,
authority. Yeah,
yeah. Now, again, I don't know, but here's the point. I think he's right. Like, why?
I was about to say he's probably right. That's the problem.
He went through a whole first half and didn't get the football.
Unforgivable.
Like, are you nuts? Like, how could you devise a game plan and not have him get touches in the first drive?
First drive. He didn't have one in the first half, Anthony.
Well, that's my
first
point.
Half.
And that's why I say
horrible.
First drive.
Yeah, horrible. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. The problem is he's probably right. I agree with you. Look, this game, Anthony, Dallas, at least last week against Washington, showed a pulse. Now, again, part of it was flukes with Turpin, who you've been singing his praises since 1902. You've been talking about this guy, and dude, every single week.
I don't understand. The other boob, McCarthy, I don't understand. Like, you got a player of his speed. Get in the football. Like, are you Anthony, nuts?
I got to tell you, it's funny. Every time I watch this kid, he's one of my favorite players in the NFL to watch. Like, I always say this, he's just not run. Again, I'm not enough of an X's and O's guy. Maybe he doesn't run good routes. I don't know what it is. But every time I watch him. There's a way to get
guys like that to football on a regular basis.
He's incredible. Like, the moves, he's a very valuable player. Like, again, I just think a guy like that, if he was a free agent, whatever someone's paying him, because it wouldn't be much, I would say you're coming here, and I'd pay a lot more because I think that guy wins games for you. I think he's really good. But anyway, and they got a couple onside kick returns. It was a fluky way the way they scored those points, Anthony. But that being said, they did show life. Giants have shown nothing. Giants are dysfunctional. To me, it's Dallas or pass. As you said, hold my nose. Not a game I'm betting. Lean Dallas though.
Now I will say this: I think there's value on the over. Only this way. Two bad teams. A lot of times, two bad teams go over because there's mistakes, turnovers, and I look at it, and Giants' defense is bad. I bet you Neighbors gets the ball a ton this week. There'll be an overcompensation.
His over-under is only 53.5, by the way, Anthony. Pretty low, right?
Yeah.
I thought that was a little low.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I think he's going over every game, basically.
I
like they didn't have a concussion?
I do. Green Bay, Miami, right now. What do you got? 3.5 on the Parx site?
Yeah, I laid Anthony. I laid on the open 3, but even at 3.5, I still like Green Bay. I bet Green Bay. Listen, Anthony, I'm going to make Tua Tagovailoa. I hope I butchered that name pretty badly, but anyway, I'm going to make Tua show me, Anthony, that he can win right on the road in a cold weather game. It's something he's never done. It's something he's failed epically at. He's never even had any kind of success. He's just done horribly every game. I'm going to make him prove it. Now, maybe he can. Maybe the weather's not going to be god-awful. Maybe it's just going to be like chilly and it's not going to be that bad. But I don't trust that guy, Thanksgiving Day, cold weather game. I don't trust him. I don't. I think Miami's getting a little bit too much respect here. I think they're a decent team, Anthony. But I think Green Bay is good. And I think Green Bay should be laying more than 3.5 here. I really do.
Yeah,
the line's light.
I feel the same way. The only thing that concerns me about the Packers is their defense. I'm not.
Yeah, it's not that good.
I'm not a believer at all. I mean, geez, Allen had plays. Like he had some plays over the middle of the field. I mean, kind of game got away from him, but they're a little vulnerable. So speaking of a Shane, like he could have a big.
He's not success. But what's interesting, Anthony, and I got to tell you, and I don't live there, and I know you don't live there, so I don't have like the quote unquote inside scoop. And I don't know if it was from the thing with the police officers or what it is, but Tyreek Hill, who was voted, by the way, the best player in the NFL before this year, according to the poll by the players.
I mean,
he's had one game. Yeah, Anthony, he's had one game all year of 80 yards or more. I mean, think about it. This guy. I don't know. Listen, I know his wrist is bothering him, and again, I always have so much respect for these athletes, Anthony. For me, I have no idea what he's going through, and he should no one even be playing. He's just toughing it out. But this is not the Tyreek Hill me and you grew up watching, right? It was,
No.
I thought, after like Jerry Rice, maybe the best receiver I've ever seen. I thought he was that dominant. I thought he was that good. Right with the Randy Mosses, Terrell Owenses of the world. I thought he was that good. This Tyreek Hill, man, it's crazy to me watching it. So until he shows me that he's back to being
look at
player,
last week. Last week was all Waddle.
yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying, Anthony. He hasn't had it all year. And he's actually really been good for them. And trust me, I've lost his over under freaking 4 straight weeks. So I could write it. Jonnu Smith has played great.
Yes.
Jonnu Smith has played amazing. And they keep making his over under high. And I'm like, I've been a little bit too stubborn thinking it's going to be Tyreek Hill and Waddle, but Jonnu has been really, really good for them.
All right. Black Friday, we got a game. Raiders and Chiefs. Now, obviously, it's a dead Raiders game. But again, it's Black Friday and everybody will watch.
Yeah, Anthony, you're right. Listen, look, they actually did no, and I know you said you were friends with Antonio Pierce, and I'm sure he's a good dude. Anyone you like, I know has to be a good dude. But Anthony, I'm going to tell you, and I don't mean to talk badly of your friends. I really don't. But in terms of pure coaching in the NFL, if he's not last, I don't know who is, and I don't say that disrespectfully. I really don't. But the players champion to get this guy in, and man, it's funny, Anthony. I got to ask you. I always look at these things from just different perspective than most fans. I was like, I'm running a franchise, right? And if I'm Mark Davis and I see I could hire Jim Harbaugh, I could hire Sean Payton, Andy Reid's in the division. Now I'm coaching against those two guys, and I'm taking a guy who had no experience and Antonio Pierce. You remember think about how you scored an M&M or a mismatch, Anthony? This is one of those things where if you switch the coaches for Denver and the Raiders would be sitting right now at 9 or whatever. The Denver is 8-5, whatever their record is, and the Raiders would be. You know what I mean? Like he is. You don't think so?
No. Listen, I agree with what you're saying about Antonio, and that I think he's swimming. I think there's some issues there.
Sure.
First year coach. I like him. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I'm sure he's a good dude.
I think he's a good defensive guy. But like he's not an offensive guy. Like, you have an offensive coordinator for that. Right? Remember some of it is the coordinators. When you're a defensive coach, you got to have an offensive guy.
Who hired the coordinator though?
A good OC. What's that?
Who hired the coordinator?
No. I mean, I'm not taking him off the hook for hiring him.
Yeah.
But I'm just taking him off the hook for like the play calls. Here's what I look at. I don't think they're talented at all. Like I actually think Denver. Now, I agree that Sean Payton is amazing. I don't agree that he would have the Raiders over 500. I think their roster.
He probably would have drafted Anthony. He probably would have drafted Bo Nix. He liked Bo Nix. He took Bo Nix. Bo Nix.
Well, this is Pierce's first year as a coach, so I
understand.
I mean,
I just think that's a tough division, Anthony.
There's a GM. Listen, I'm with you. Like it's no comparison. Like if it's me, I'm hiring Harbaugh. I'm hiring
Peyton.
Sean Payton. Like what Sean Payton's done. Like he found a quarterback. He's got all of a sudden you look at him and Sutton's come to life. Vele has contributed. Their defense is good. I just don't think I think the Raiders are an awful franchise, right, from the beginning, from the top.
They probably are.
They also have no talent.
Well, listen. I will give them this.
Bowers
was a home run pick. Yeah, Bowers was a home run pick, and obviously they have a great defensive lineman.
But if you got no quarterback, I hate Minshew.
Could they have taken? I'm trying to think. Now Bowers has been great, but I think I'm 99% sure they could have had Nix. Now again, Nix. If you remember, people didn't think Nix was going to be taken that high. Give Peyton credit. He saw something in the guy.
Yes, he
did. He saw something, and they've now reaping those benefits. And after a slow start, this kid's played really well for them. Now, I don't know how much of it, Anthony, you always talk about the NFL being a coach's league. How much of this is he's surrounded himself with a good staff, and if he was in the Raiders, he'd be stinking up the joint. I don't know.
Listen, Peyton knows how to bring quarterbacks along, all right? Like, so, he knows how to design offenses. Like, he understands stuff. Like, I just think he's in a way, like anybody that goes to, even Jaden Daniels, if he went to the Raiders,
It's just a tough
He
situation.
wouldn't have the same success he's having now.
You're right. No, a fair point. But the game itself, Anthony, about the game itself, listen, they have had success against this Kansas City team.
Last year.
Last year, yeah. That was Kansas City's last loss. It's interesting, Anthony. Kansas City, every single game, right? Death, taxes, and the Chiefs play close games. But you hear Mahomes saying, look, we really actually want to get a blowout here. I mean, this is just not a game I can bet. I just every part of me wants to say the Raiders, Anthony, just because it's 13 points against a team that can't beat your freaking son's high school team by 13, seemingly. But I just can't do it because what you said, the Raiders don't have talent. They seem like they're in the tank.
Yeah,
this
I like
is a game.
Kansas City, actually. I mean, I know Carolina just, made him sweat and the whole
Carolina's
thing.
playing hard, though, right now, Anthony. That's the difference. Carolina's, and I give Bryce Young credit for playing better recently. I got to give him his due. Everyone on the road wrote him off, and he's shown a little bit of spunk. But I just think the Raiders have quit, maybe. I don't know. I can't do anything back on the Raiders.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Let's go quickly over Sunday.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Colts, Patriots, Indianapolis 2.5 on the BetParx site.
I bet, Anthony, I bet the Colts. Here's why I bet the Colts. Listen, they're not good. They're not good, but to me, they're the definition in this year of the NFL. They're an 8-9 team to me. They're an 8-9 team. To me, the Patriots are a 3-14, 4-13 team. I think more times than not, I think I win this game. I think they should win this game over 60% of the time, over that, closer to 2 out of 3 times. I just think this is a game out of their 8 wins, one of them will be against New England, and it's less than a field goal. And New England's just not good.
I agree. This next game, I like it. And Cincinnati is 3, and I like Pittsburgh.
So do I. I don't get the line.
Anthony.
You always say this is a Pittsburgh line. This is a line where aren't they on their hands and knees telling you this is like a don't make sense line. I'll be honest. I'm always within a point of these games, Anthony. I'm always within a point. I'm almost never, even if I like a game, I'm almost never off by more than a point. I thought this line would max coming at 1.5 for Cincy. I'm talking max, like max. I never thought they'd be laying 3. So I don't understand.
My theory is that the Bengals are a team like the Jets, where people still like them.
They want to believe.
They're not your typical 4-7 team. That they're a team with a high-profile quarterback that they overrate, and I just think that they're overrating. And I look at it, I'm thinking, I love Pittsburgh. I think Cincinnati's a frail team.
Yeah, Anthony. Again, I don't get this line. Look, I'll be honest. Gun to my head. You said I could cure cancer if I get this game right. Who wins the game? Just who wins the game? I would say Pittsburgh. So you want to give me 3 points in a game that I don't understand the line. And again, I think it's exactly what you said. I think it makes a lot of sense. I think that was a very good handicap by you. People just want to, they see Joe Burrow and they want to just say, okay, this is versus a mucky Pittsburgh team that mucks the game up. They want to take, they're the comfort food, right? Cincinnati is the cheeseburger, right? They're the French fry. It's a comfort food. It's easy to do because they have Joe Burrow, but they don't really say, well, maybe it's not healthy for you, right? And that, to me, I only look at Pittsburgh. To me, it's the easy side.
Atlanta and the Chargers. Interesting game. Of course, we saw the Chargers last night. It's a shame because Dobbins gets hurt, and he was on his way to a good game. Now they go to Atlanta, and short week. You're in Atlanta. I think the situation favors the Falcons. The only thing is, I don't like the Falcons' makeup defensively. They're
not good. Yeah. Anthony, I bet over 47 in this game. I actually think there'll be points scored because games in a dome. Now, the Chargers defense, Anthony, it's fake. It's listed number 1 in points allowed, but their schedule was garbage. And then, you watch them last 2 weeks against the Ravens.
They couldn't stop. They got lucky.
Correct.
They couldn't stop Baltimore last night.
Anthony, you nailed it. You said it would happen before the game, and it did. You called it. And Atlanta, listen, I agree with you. I don't trust Atlanta. I don't like, especially, but mostly I don't trust their defense at home in a dome. I do trust them to score 24 plus points. And you know what? I don't trust their defense. Even without Dobbins, I think the Chargers get over 20. I like, again, not a low number, 47, but I think the game goes over. If I had to bet the side, Anthony, the only way I can look is the Falcons' way because, again, off a bye week, tough loss for the Chargers last week. So only way I can look is the Falcons side, but I like the over better.
I like it. Hey, by the way, while you're sitting around, Thanksgiving Day and the turkey and all the trimmings and everything else, the Bet Park Sportsbook Casino app. Like, we're talking about, what we do, and we'll be like, I'll be over my, we'll be home and everybody will be hanging out, and my sister and my cousin, everybody will be around. And so I'll have the Bet Park Sportsbook Casino app right there. So, everything we want for the games on Thursday. And if you got some downtime, they offer great stuff. Live blackjack with live dealers. Same thing with craps and roulette. And you can see it right on your phone. It's really wild. They have
But they have
all
live
those
craps?
right?
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Really?
The roulette. I mean, you got
that's so cool.
all the hot online slots like Peaky Blinders and Breaking Bad. And it's right there. And in fact, new customers. So while you're watching the games and betting the games and all the props like the brain tells you, just have some fun. New customers, in fact, you get up to $1,000 casino bonus back if you're down the first 24 hours. BetParks.com has all the details, so you can check that out. Just remember, you're going to be 21. You got to be in PA, New Jersey, Ohio, Maryland, Michigan. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right. Speaking of the Jets, Seattle and on the Bet Parks app is laying only 2 to this Jets team. Now they have been. You are amazing at this. You really are. You're a savant. I call you Ace Rothstein. In fact, what you got to do is, Andrew, put a picture of Ace Rothstein up at some point. All right, of the brain. The Jets are your only Achilles heel.
Yeah. Well, Anthony, you're going to be proud of me. You're going to be very proud of me. You know me well. You're right. But here's Your Honor. I'm going in front of the judge. You being the judge. Here's what I'm going to say. Number one, you've been right. The Jets, by the way, Anthony, fortunate on their preseason bets, had a fortune over 9.5, had a fortune division, had a fortune AFC. So you name it. Like, I got humiliated, embarrassed, whatever attitude you want to use, that team did to me. And I kept backing them week after week after week. I finally had my come to Jesus moment before the Colts game, made a big bet on the Colts, +4, they cashed. Anthony, you'll be proud of me. Read the news, potentially. Nothing substantiated over it, but they were saying Aaron Rodgers may be released, may be benched. I'm like, there is no way on God's green earth the Seattle Seahawks are not going to be favored in this game. They opened the lineup. I took the Jets, Seattle +2, and Seattle with the money line like +$1.10, and the lines flip. And I made a double bet on Seattle, knowing this line's going to flip. I feel proud of myself. At least, again, I'm choosing to be right over being consistent. I was too consistent with the Jets. It was an Achilles heel of mine. You were right. Hopefully, I've righted the problem, because you cannot back this Jets team, Anthony. You just can't. Maybe they win. I don't care.
No,
can't do it.
No, you're spot on. I'm proud of you, buddy. You are no. There he is. There's the brain right there.
Oh my God!
There's the brain, so De Niro. Good. He knows all about it. The brain, Ace Rothstein.
That's tremendous. Oh, you're making me cry. That is tremendous. That's great stuff.
Texans and Jaguars.
Yeah. Wow.
Speaking of dead teams, the Jags. This is something you have to be aware of as you reach this time of the year, this point in the schedule. Are teams with dead coaches, teams that are done and have quit.
Great point.
The Jaguars are dead.
Anthony, great point by you. I love that you just said that. Now, again, I don't think Trevor Lawrence is going to play. They haven't officially ruled him out. But if this is Mac Jones, this is either you don't bet the game or you bet the Texans. It's not even an opinion. It's not. This is not a game you're going to look to back Mac Jones and company. I will say this, Anthony. It's kind of flown under the radar. This Texans team was supposed to be good. I like the coach, and I like the quarterback. But the quarterback is actually, I don't know if the word regressed or what it is. He's been nowhere near what he was last year. Would you think that's fair for me to say?
Yes, I think they've had some O-line issues
for sure.
For sure, and I think that's affected him. Plus, he's been out. Remember, Nico just got back, right?
Sure.
He was without Nico for a while. He lost Diggs early. Even Tank Dell's been in and out more.
Yeah, he's been hurt too.
Yeah.
So I think that team's struggling.
And those receivers, I think that's not a number on Stroud. I'm still a believer in Stroud.
So am I. I think he's still going to be a top 5 quarterback. But only way I can look here, to me, it's Texans or pass.
This is an interesting game. Arizona, Minnesota. Arizona's another team that I don't think is ready yet, and we saw that remember I liked Seattle on Sunday. I thought,
Yeah, I bet Seattle. We both took Seattle. Yep.
You and I talked about that. Minnesota. My only issue with Minnesota, because I love the scheme of their defense. I'm a big Brian Flores guy, but I watched Caleb,
yeah,
shred them last week with Keenan Allen. Like,
yeah, he really did.
He was every big play they needed. I mean, you come back from 11-point deficit to force overtime. I know you got the kick. You got the onside kick, but like, I was surprised. I didn't think that game should have been that close.
Yeah, Anthony, it's interesting. The Cardinals played the number one schedule in the NFL. So I think they're 6-5. I think it's the record. I can look it up. I think they're 6-5, but they played the toughest schedule in the NFL. So they're actually, you can't say they're not legit, right? That being said, look, this Viking team, they've won a bunch of close games this year, but I really like the Vikings. And now again, I 3.5. I certainly, the only way I can look here is the Minnesota side. I just think they're the better team, and they're at home. And Darnold, Anthony, again, he had that one game against Jaguars where he threw and against the Colts, he had a couple games. There was twice I saw him throw multiple interceptions in the end zone where wow, this is what the Carolina and the Jets saw from him, which made the coaches not be coaching there anymore because of what he did. O'Connell's gotten the most out of him. This is certainly the best he's played. Addison was a good Batman, good Robin to Jefferson's Batman last week when Jefferson got kind of taken out of the game. They got Hawkinson back. Jones has been good all year. The only way I can look, Anthony, is Minnesota, and I trust Flores more. I trust both sides of the ball more from Minnesota. That's the bottom line.
I agree.
3.5.
I agree with that. I do. I like Minnesota in that game. Tennessee, Washington. The wheels coming off a little bit.
Maybe more than a little. Because Anthony, if you think about it, let's think about this, Anthony. The Bears game.
Yeah.
Hail Mary, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what are they, 7-5? They'd be 6-6 right now. Be a lot of a different vibe right now. And that Eagles game, well, they only lost by 10 points or 8 points, whatever it was. You watched that game, Anthony. It seemingly went the entire game without a first down.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it was close in
they
terms
were
of the final score.
But
they were outclassed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we thought that was going to be an ass, a butt kicking. And it kind of was. So this team is certainly leaking oil, in my opinion, Anthony. Now they're facing another team. Look, the Titans, I mean, they're the Titans, Anthony, versus a team like Jacksonville, which I think you really smartly pointed out, or a team like the Giants. Those teams to me are laid down. They're on the match, 1, 2, 3, you pin them down. Titans haven't quit, okay? And they played well defensively all year. Now, I don't like Levis at all.
30 against the Texans.
They did. That was the best. That's the best game Will Levis had in his career.
Houston's defense is not bad.
No, and that was the best game Levis has had of his career.
Yeah.
And this Titans team has a new coaching talent. They have not quit. So to me, this is not a dead money team. I think this is the right number. I mean, if I had to pick the side, I would lean Titans because I'm just not laying 5.5 points right now with Washington, but not a game I'm betting because I don't think the Titans are very good. But I don't think Washington is very good. So lean Titans, not a game I'm betting.
Tampa, Carolina. We just talked about Carolina and how spunky they were. You take the Chiefs to OT, the whole thing against Tampa. And all Tampa does is, they feast on bad teams. Here's the one thing I do know: the over in this thing is going to be in play because Tampa's defense, you can move the ball on them and through the air, and Tampa's going to score on Carolina.
Yeah, Anthony, listen, I got to tell you, Anthony, Tampa's a team to me that they're kind of one of those teams, Anthony. How am I trying to phrase it? Do you remember in an NCAA tournament, a team that has a puncher's chance? To me, that team that always has a puncher's chance because Baker has been spunky. I don't think there's been one game all year except actually Denver housed them pretty good. I think week 2, but outside of that, they're the only team beat Detroit. They've lost close games in overtime to the 49ers. They lost another one to the Chiefs. They've been right there in every one of their games. I actually think this team, Anthony, is actually maybe going to make the playoffs. You were looking for a long shot. I bet them at 7-1 to win the division 2 weeks ago because I actually was you know what? I think they may win out.
Yeah,
I think this team look at their schedule. Look at their schedule. If they play this week, they have Carolina. They play Dallas. They play New Orleans. They play Carolina again. They play the Raiders.
They got the Raiders. Here you go. Carolina, the Raiders at the Chargers,
That's
at
the one hard one.
Dallas, home Carolina, home Saints.
I think they win everyone except one. That's my.
The
I think they'll lose
Chargers,
to the
yeah.
Chargers probably, but I think this team is tough. Look, I actually think. Look, I agree with you. Lean over there, but I like the Tampa Bay side, Anthony, because I just trust they will definitely put points on the board, and I just think they're just ahead of right now as a franchise. They're just a better team than Carolina. Obviously, Carolina's playing better now, but I think Tampa Bay is actually. They're like one of those teams, Anthony. I think is sneaky decent.
How about Rams Saints? This is interesting because the Saints can be they're a strange team, right? Like
very strange.
Like we saw that weird game from Taysom Hill where I mean he scores what do you have? How many yards from scrimmage?
I love
Three
Taysom Hill.
touchdowns.
He's so good.
Whole thing. I actually love the Rams in the game because it's inside, and I don't think that the Saints can pressure Stafford. And I love the Rams. I would make that like an A play.
Double play.
Yeah.
It's interesting, Anthony. To me, this is a tough game. Like I actually think there's one game. I'm not disagreeing with you on the side. My side would be the Rams. But if there's one game I had to pick on the entire card to come down to the last like 3 minutes, this would be the game I'd pick. I think the game's going to be close because I thought the Rams, what they showed, Anthony, in that game against Phillies, they really do struggle against them. The run defense was bad, so Kamara should have some success. Look, I don't trust Carr. Carr, to me, you were right. I remember I defended him years back. You put me in my place, and you were right. And they don't have good receivers right now on top of it. Right now, their second best player after Kamara probably really is Taysom Hill. I lean Rams here. I love Nakua. I think he's really good. Kupp's really good. And I love Stafford. Lean Rams, but I think the game will just be annoyingly close just because, if that makes sense. I don't trust the Rams, so I think it'll be like a, 24-21, 21-8-17 kind of game, but I think the Rams are victorious.
Niners, Bills, the Sunday nighter. Now, here's the thing. Niners are, banged up, the whole thing. Is Purdy expected to play? What are you hearing on Purdy now?
Well, Anthony, again, first thing I did Sunday night, I made a big bet, my biggest bet of the week, Bills minus 5.5. I said, there's no way this line's not going to be 7. Whether I like it or don't like it, I'm like, this 5.5 is a joke. This line's going to go up at least 1.5. Why is it going to go up 1.5? We just witnessed Green Bay beat this team by a zillion. Buffalo's been arguably the best team in the AFC. Purdy, will he play? Will he not? My guess is no. And this line's going to go to 7. I could just buy it back and give myself like a real middle here if I so to choose to do that. Listen, Anthony, if we're seeing Allen play again, they're not going to quit because of Shanahan. They're always going to be a professional team, right? But Trent Williams banged up, McCaffrey banged up. Debo doesn't look like the same player to me. I got to be honest, Anthony. I think we may have missed the window. Despite having a talented roster, I don't think we're going to see San Francisco back in the Super Bowl in the next, let's call it 5 years, the Christian McCaffrey era, however many years that is. I think they're done as being a Super Bowl contender. You may disagree with that.
Certainly for the next 3 to 5 years, I'm with you. I agree with you. I think they're done. I love the Bills. I think the Bills roll. Yeah. I think it's one of those games where maybe it's close in the first half, and then they just pound, almost like what we saw a repeat in Green Bay.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Like this is a San Francisco team that I just, again, mentally I think they're tough because the coach is good. I think when you just get Anthony, when you strip a team bare of all their players, it's like you're looking at a Ferrari and you strip all the parts off it. I mean, is it still a Ferrari, really?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I can't, to me it's easy side Buffalo.
The Monday night game, and then we'll get to the Eagles. The Monday night game.
Sure.
I think of these two teams. Oh my God. Memories come flooding back. Cleveland, Denver. And of course, we're talking about Elway, the drive, Ernest Biner, fumble. Oh my God. Mack. Remember Kevin Mack?
Kevin Mack. Great name from the past.
Webster Slaughter. He was a great receiver.
Brennan.
For
Do you remember the name Brian Brennan? Remember the Brian Brennan receiver?
Yeah.
Remember the Brian Sipe days?
Brian
anyway,
Sipe,
I mean,
Elway Sipe.
Elway, yeah. I mean the drive, I mean, I remember the second time when it was who was it who fumbled Anthony? It was a Biner. Was it Biner? Ernest
Ernest
Biner fumbled
Biner.
going in.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
like the guy stripped him. It was 30. I think it was
Yeah.
38-33 final. But yeah, Cleveland's been a jinx franchise. Listen, I got to tell you this. I mean, actually, Anthony, if they ever, I just thought about this. Has Cleveland never won a championship
No.
in any sport? Oh, basketball. Yeah, okay, but football they haven't. Baseball, right? They haven't in forever, right? I mean, it's just crazy. I feel bad for them. But anyway, this game right here, Anthony. Look, you called it your best game of last week. You said you liked Cleveland to win outright against a very good Steelers team. Jameis played well. It's exactly what you said. Look, it was a tough game. Could have gone either way, and that was their Super Bowl, right? That was their all in. We're shoving all our chips in. Our season may have gone up to know what, but we're going to beat Pittsburgh and ruin your. You're not going to win this division. We're going to be the reason for that. Jameis, say what you want to say about the guy. He makes mistakes, but he's tough. He's tough. And he plays hard. But I got to tell you, like to me, this Denver team, they're good. They're good, and you know what?
They're well coached.
They're
They're good defensively. I think I smell 3 Jameis turnovers.
Yeah, that's just about to say. I mean, this is one of these games where while the number I think is correct.
Yeah, I love the Broncos.
The number I think is correct. I can't show my work on it, but to me, this is one of those games where you just said it. I think we're seeing pick sixes for all you're doing your fantasy leagues. Take the Denver defense this week. I think we're going to see a game where it's just Cleveland turnovers, Denver just getting it done, Denver by double digits. Even though I think the number, Anthony, is fair. You know what I mean? Based on the raw data. And plus, again, off that game, Anthony, you always talk about situational spots. It's a tough one to me. I think it's a tough one for them.
All over Denver. I think the same thing. All right. And the last game on the NFL card, then we'll go to college, is, of course, Eagles and Ravens. Now, full disclosure, I know where the brain's headed. And, it's not something that we're going to like as Eagles fans. But again, the brain does this for a living. All right. At Brad's Best Bets, he does this for a living. So the matchup, like I said to the brain earlier, which is, I think it's a horrible spot for the Eagles, right? Like you're coming off of just an epic win in LA, Sunday Night Football. You got to turn around and you got to go play the Ravens. You probably got no Devontae still. You got no BG. Barkley's great. Now, a big part of that's going to be Roquan Smith and whether he's healthy because the Ravens are pretty good against the run, but without Roquan Smith, that changes.
Yeah, Andy, great point for you. And look, you just said it. Like with Roquan Smith, which I don't, as we do the show, we don't know that. No one knows that. Even Roquan Smith probably doesn't know if he's playing or not yet. Okay. And I'm guessing Devontae's not going to play. You probably have better intel on that than I do, Anthony.
No,
I don't think he's going to play.
I'm not expecting him to, yeah.
Yeah. So we have an Eagles team offensively where, see, Anthony, what has made the Eagles so good this year? Everyone watching, right? We have an Eagles team that has been as good of a run offense as we've seen arguably in our lifetime. That's not an exaggeration. No. That's not me exaggerating. No. This has arguably been the best running attack in the history of the NFL. And what do the Ravens do better than anyone in the NFL? They stop the run. And one thing I've learned from following NFL, I don't know much, but I know this. When an elite run defense goes up and against an elite running back, it's always advantage defense. It just has been from the end of beginning. Tampa Bay had a great defense. You couldn't run on those teams with Warren Sapp. I didn't care who you were.
Yes.
The Eagles defenses, Anthony, back in the late 80s with Seth Joyner, Jerome Brown, Reggie White, Clyde Simmons, those guys, you couldn't run on that team. When there's an elite run defense, the Ravens defense, when they won their Super Bowls, you couldn't run on that team. And so I think Barkley, for everyone, I'm not hating on the Eagles. And I think Barkley is so good, so tremendous, so phenomenal, whatever adjective you want to use, I'll double it. I think he's an incredible player. And he may be so good, Anthony, he could just run off, do those 2 plays he had against the Rams and just knock off. He's talented enough to do that. But just the ground, he was getting, Anthony, if you watch the game, he was getting like seemingly 6-7 yards every play, which is making it second and 3.
I was talking about it. Like they were dominating that line, the other line of scrimmage.
Exactly.
Like they're dominating the line of scrimmage and they're playing on the Rams side. And he's getting, I was talking about this earlier, about, the quick 7, the quick 6, the quick 8. And every play is 2nd and 2, 2nd and 3.
Right.
Like that's the heaven to live on.
Yeah, it's not going to happen, Anthony. You're just not going to get that. And like because of that, to me, the only way I can look is the Ravens side, Anthony. I think this is a game where as great as the Eagles defense has been, and they've been absolutely terrific. I mean, they've changed their whole season around, right? I just think this is the hardest matchup they're going to have all year, besides maybe Detroit, right? Anthony, would you agree with that?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and it's a really tough.
Yeah, I'm not in love with the matchup. I see where you're coming from, and if they go down, and to me, it doesn't change anything. The Eagles are still, to me, the top two in the top two of the NFC.
Oh, it doesn't change anything. No, it doesn't change anything. Yeah. I agree.
I just think it's a bad matchup, bad spot.
And if Anthony, if they were to win this game, to me, if they were to win this game, I think you could argue, are they ahead of Detroit?
Yeah.
If they were to win this game.
No, if they go down to Baltimore,
have that destruction.
And again, they can't, and Barkley runs nuts, then they don't lose.
Yeah, exactly. But I like this game as long as it's under 3, Anthony. Only way I can look here is the Baltimore side. I think I think Baltimore gets this one, and I just think it's a tough spot as we talk about.
All right, let's go to college football where chaos reigns, especially after this past weekend. Wild, brain, you're sideways.
Yeah, you know what? I can't. I put on my do not disturb. I put it on, and I keep getting a phone, and I apologize. I keep hitting the do not disturb, and it still comes through. Even when I apologize to everyone.
Oh, no worries. Please stop.
But I look better sideways.
No, you don't. You look handsome. Yeah, I mean, it was crazy last weekend. Ole Miss, I didn't see it coming, man. I didn't see Florida, and Florida dominated them.
Anthony, listen, you didn't see it coming. I had a big bet in that game. I was wrong as wrong can be. And again, but I got to tell you, Anthony, I don't know how you are when you do these things. Like if I'm going to be wrong, let me be wrong. Like I'm happy with it. Like I was wrong. It was just wrong handicap. Nothing. I was just dead wrong on the game. I hate when I get unlucky. That's what I can't stand. It's like, I had under in the Eagles game.
Yeah, I hear you.
I needed Barkley not to get a 75-yard run on basically the last player. I'm going to win the under. That annoyed me. When I'm wrong on like the Mississippi LSU, Mississippi Florida, I'm like, all right, listen, it happens. And look, but Anthony, you talked about the parity in college football, right? I guess it just keeps showing itself every single week. I mean, the parity is unreal.
I didn't see Oklahoma. I didn't see that. I mean, Oklahoma completely shut down Milroe. I was like, wow.
No one saw that, Anthony. Again, anyone who's saying it's lying, there, what's off. That's the thing. Anthony, for me, the college football season has come down to I had the one bet on SMU to win the ACC. I rooted for that. And the only other thing I care, because I didn't have one national championship bet this year. Like the first time in my life, I didn't have one because I didn't think any value in any of these teams. But the one thing I want, Anthony, if Ohio State loses, it's a successful season for me. I just want Ohio State. I don't care who beats them, who it's going to be, just anyone, Anthony. If someone beats Ohio State, I can't have Ryan Day get one up on me. I need Ohio State to lose. If they lose, it's been a successful year for me. But there's so much parity, my friend.
Yeah.
And I know you said, Anthony, Notre Dame. You mentioned Notre Dame, Anthony. I want to say you said it 3 weeks ago at 28, 30-1 area. Anthony, the odds have shrunk in half. Kudos to you. Good find. Doesn't mean it's going to win, but you got good closing line value as usual.
All right, Friday, interesting game that matters. Boise, Oregon State on the blue field early.
Yeah.
Friday at noon. It's big noon kickoff. And this is really interesting. A lot of points, man. I know like Oregon State's not good, and Boise's at home, but 20.5 on the Parx side.
It's a big number. It's a big number. Now, look, Boise, what they just keep winning. Listen, now, by the way, have you watched the running back, Anthony?
Yes.
From Boise?
Yeah.
I am, with Genti, I have been incredibly impressed with this kid. Like, I actually think.
It's ridiculous.
I don't know. Again, I don't know in today's world, these guys don't get drafted high. If he's not a high first-round pick, then I just don't know anything. I actually think he's incredible. I think he'll be right away one of these game-changing NFL running backs. The runs he makes are like they're like, oh my God, like how did he do that?
Yeah.
So I think he's one of those kind of players. Now Boise, again, I just don't think they're that great of a team, but this is obviously, they need this game. They need this game for, to get in the playoffs. Obviously, if they lose, they're not going to make the playoffs. They're not going to get that kind of grace, in my opinion. It's a big number. It's not a game I bet. As you said, Anthony, Oregon State really not that good of a team. this is just not a game I personally like. I can't even give an opinion. I thought the line would come in right around 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Hard game for me. But again, always look to live bet on the Parx side.
Let's move quickly through it.
Sorry.
Okay. No. Colorado, which took one on the chin.
We talked about that
in a bad way. They're laying a big number to Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State used their backup quarterback. They wound up getting in the shootout last week. It's a lot of points, and Colorado's defense isn't that good.
No, it's not. And again, now Anthony, it also is this. I'm a big believer when there's a dream crusher, right? Like they were thinking, oh, we're going to make the playoff. Yeah, it's like, listen, Anthony, you coach football, you see it, and you've been in sports your whole life. When you lose that game, when you're all excited, everyone's like, kumbaya, and then you lose, you're like, all right, and it's like, it's just hard to pick yourself up the mat and say, all right, now we got to win by margin on top of it. I can't lay those kind of points in this game. Again, Oklahoma State's really not that good though. And I do think Colorado's a solid team, Anthony, but again, I don't like the dream crusher factor that I just think it's going to be hard for them.
I like Okie State. Like if I like the backup quarterback.
That would be the side for me.
Yeah.
Be the side.
Ole Miss needs it. I don't know what they do. Now they have their Ole Miss, Mississippi State. Huge
Mississippi
number.
State's horrible team. Horrible. Mississippi State's really bad. I mean, they'll kill them, but that's just, they're I don't think Mississippi's getting in after what happened. And they don't deserve to.
Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech's been a little bit of a dragon slayer. Georgia laying 19.5.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Anthony, like this is again, another game where Georgia Tech to me has actually been like, they're decent.
Yeah.
They are decent. And Georgia, Anthony, we followed the game against UMass. They were they were actually like, you see the final score, it looked like a ball. It was actually somewhat competitive.
It was.
If that makes sense. It was actually somewhat competitive. Tech for me is an easy side. I don't think Georgia's that good. Again, we keep talking about the parity in college football. Almost 3 touchdowns. To me, Georgia Tech easy side.
Yeah. Saturday's always a big weekend, and always in rivalry weekend, we get Michigan, Ohio State. Brad's a Michigan guy. He lives and dies with Michigan. Michigan and the Sixers are his squad. This is payback. Now, Michigan looks better over the last couple of weeks. Their offense has gotten better. The line is huge, 21. When was the last time?
Hasn't been that way. It was never that way under Harbaugh. Under Brady Hoke, I'm sure it was. Rich Rodriguez probably was. But listen, here's the thing, and it's going to be hard for Michigan to score here, in my opinion. I'm just keeping it real. And Ohio State, I actually do have them ranked. Again, this is all so close, my rankings, but I actually do have them ranked as my number one team. I'm embarrassed to admit, but I do have them ranked as my number one team. And Anthony, as you said, listen, now I will say this, having gone to the school, having know the program really well, and I also this game, Anthony, is one of those games where, like, whether you're 0-8 or 11, 2-9 or 9-2, this is like you put your almost like everything you have in life is what this game means. Now, Ohio State has been hearing it now for 3 years in a row, how they suck. Michigan owns them. I would have to think winning this game is not enough.
Yeah.
I would have to think.
I think they're going to wreck them. I do. I think it's a 42-6 piece.
Yeah. I'm not saying that, but I think it's going to be hard. I kind of make you maybe right on the 6 piece, Anthony. So I think they get the 42. Maybe not 42, but maybe 31, maybe 31-7, 31-3, 31.
I don't think Michigan's defense is that good.
It's not that. It's not, but I get it. Listen, but I just know this game is always just such a intense, like, everything about it. Look, side for me would be Ohio State, just because I think it's going to be really challenging for Michigan to score here, Anthony. And Ohio State, again, you want to talk about payback. I mean, I think if this game, Anthony, did you see what they did last week to Indiana? One of my buddies had a parlay. It was going to pay him $45,000. $45,000. He had an alternate line on Indiana plus 16.5. They were down 16. The kid, I don't know if you know what happened. The kid took a knee at the 1 yard line to end the game. And then after he takes a kney with to end the game, runs in a touchdown anyway.
Yeah.
And my friend was like, "Oh my God, I mean, he could have had a bucket take a shower with the tears coming from his eyes because he did like this crazy 15 game parlay that would have won 45 grand."
Oh,
Yeah, this tough one, but I think they're going to want to run up the score, James Franklin style, Anthony.
all right. We got about 2 minutes to go.
Yes,
So
sir.
quickly, big one: USC Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Notre Dame's got everything riding on it. They're a 7.5 point favorite in SoCal.
Yeah, Anthony, listen, I love we said about Notre Dame, and they're playing their best football of the year. USC, it's funny to me. This is a team that I think they're like 6-5 or something like that. And this is the team but it really easily could have been more like 9-2. The loss they had against Minnesota was heartbreaking. The loss they had against Penn State was heartbreaking. I believe they lost to. There's one other Big Ten loss they had, which was just really excruciating. They maybe have been Maryland, if I'm remembering correctly. They had like 3 losses that they really, in my opinion, should have won. I lean here, USC, Anthony. Don't think they're that. Again, I know Notre Dame's a better team, but these teams, when they play, usually the games are tight. I think we're going to get a.
Did you say Minnesota? Because they lost to Minnesota too.
Yeah, Minnesota. Yeah, and they lost to Minnesota at the end, like the last play.
And Michigan.
And Michigan. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Did they play in Maryland or no?
They play
Maryland and they lost by 1 or 2.
Yes, they lost by 1 to Maryland. That was
it. Yeah, and they all were on crazy.
Yeah.
So I'm saying,
Southern Cal's probably going to play them tough. You can see it.
And if we were seeing a Southern Cal team that was 9-2, which is not a stretch, by the way.
Yeah.
These games they were winning with 10 seconds left in the game. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, literally, they could be 9-2. This line would be sitting maybe in Notre Dame by 2.5. Okay. So side for me would be USC, but again, not a great team. I think Notre Dame's playing their best football, but my side would be Notre Dame.
All right. Iron Bowl, Bama's 11.5. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, like it's killer.
How do you read this Alabama team, Anthony? I mean, how do you read?
I'm stunned.
How do you?
They went down like that. I'm stunned.
This would be Anthony. This is like if you watch Tyreek Hill in a race against me, and then he loses to me. Like how?
Yeah.
How do you handicap it?
I don't understand it. Yeah.
I don't understand it. Lean Auburn, but I don't trust them either. I mean, I don't
like Auburn. Yeah.
But I can't back Alabama. Not a game I'm playing.
I do like this game. I like Syracuse plus 11.
Yeah, I think Syracuse. Is live.
Miami's defense is dreadful.
Yeah, lean over as well.
And my boy, I tell you about my boy who transferred from Ohio State.
He's good. McCoy, he's good. He's good. And Anthony, again, I think points will be scored in this one because I think Miami will get their share too.
Yeah,
but I think Syracuse is going to score. I think Syracuse could score in the 30s.
McCord's going to put up big points. The total is 67.5 on Parx.
But I think he could score. Yeah, I think he could score in the 30s themselves. And they're not going to. Again, I don't think Syracuse is going to get lost stops. Miami's still really good offensively, Anthony.
Agreed. And then real quick, Oregon, the number 1 team in the country, has got Washington. This is not your quality Washington team, but the line is high, 19.5.
Lean here, Washington, Anthony. Washington's a team to me. Again, I keep probably overrating them because they're really not good. It's almost like the New York Jets for me, where I keep thinking they're a little bit better than they are, but they're really not that good. That being said, with 19, I still think they're decent enough to maybe hang and keep it close. But I still think they'll definitely lose by 2 touchdowns. I thought the line should have been around 17.5 in my numbers. So it was close. Lean here, Washington. Anthony, I'll give you real quick a couple games I like. I like Wisconsin over Minnesota.
Quick, I got to bring this one up, and then you go. Yeah. Because to me, the game of the day is Texas A&M. It's at College Station. It's a great game. Texas 6-point favorite. I mean, College Station is a nasty place to play.
What are you showing the total at right now, Anthony?
The total right now is 48.5.
Yeah, okay. I like the under, Anthony.
Yeah.
And that's my favorite thing in this game because Texas's offense, Anthony, people think of the quarterbacks with the 2 quarterbacks. They think of this being this dynamic offense. Dude, you know this because you follow it at a high level. It has been anything but that. But you know what has been great? Their defense has been great, Anthony. So I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. Lean here, Texas A&M, getting the 6. but I like under more than anything in this game.
Agreed. Who else we got?
I like Wisconsin laying 2.5 against Minnesota, Anthony. I thought this line should have been over a field goal, quite frankly. I thought it should have been closer to 4. I like Wisconsin. Again, not a great team, but neither is Minnesota. I think they cover that. Michigan State Rutgers, the total is 47.5. I thought it should be closer to 44. Give me under on that one. Those are 2 games I liked.
I like it. Well, Brain, that's going to do it for us here at our Cousins Corner, brought to you by Parx Casino. Now, again, I got to give you the lineup. Stay with me because the lineup, Andrew, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Are you ready? Like, you're going to get a kick out of this, all right? This is awesome. All right, so here's what's going on at Parx Casino, Pennsylvania's #1 casino, Street Road exit, right here. All right, 95 PA Turnpike. You got to check it out. The Excite Center, state-of-the-art entertainment venue, named best places for concerts and comedy. You got to check it out. Here's what we got. March 7th, country star Scotty McCreery.
Something about 5 minutes.
Put yourself on the screen there so Bray can see it.
Okay.
January 17th, comedian Jessica Kirsten. January 18th, the reggae sounds of Shaggy.
It wasn't me. Call me in the counter. It wasn't me.
The annual Joe Conklin Holiday Spectacular. 2 shows, December 5th and 19th, starring Joe Conklin and Pete Spina's City Rhythm Orchestra and Club 360, featuring Mike Baldini's annual tradition of singing a holiday hit, Dominic the Donkey.
I mean to come in for that, Anthony.
Dominic the Donkey. Tick. Dominic the Christmas Donkey.
The Italian Christmas. La, 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 la. My kids used to love that, Brain. Would you like to see Mike Baldini do that?
Oh, dude, I love Baldini. So, yeah, I get him singing that. I'd fly in for that one.
Exactly. Actor Richard Kind, Curb Your Enthusiasm, January 24th.
Whoa, Larry, whoa. Hey.
Anthony, he should sing the song. He should sing the song with me eating a large pizza.
Yes.
That'll talk about viewership. I mean, gosh.
I
who
love
wouldn't
it.
pay to see that? Him singing, me eating? Gosh.
Yeah, it's a home run. Jerry Cantrell, Allison Chains, February 8th.
I'm the man in the box.
You are the man in the box. Comedian Ron White, March 21st. Magician Michael Carbonaro, March 8th.
He's great.
Magic.
I got to say that, Anthony. I told you this before. You should go see that, Anthony. Please trust me. Take your kids.
I always trust you.
He's incredible.
That's awesome.
Carbonaro. Watch his show, The Carbonaro Effect. It's a great show, too.
Okay. Country star Lee Bryce, March 22nd.
There's a rumor going round about me and you.
Enjoy dinner and drinks before the show. Liberty Bell Gastropub, Parks Grill Steakhouse, Bamboo Noodle House, ParksCasino.com to buy tickets for all shows. Parx Casino. This is how you win. You got to be 21. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLE. All right. Brain, that'll do it for Cousins Corner this week. Have a blessed and happy Thanksgiving, buddy. Enjoy your day tomorrow.
One of the best people I know in the world. I love you,
buddy.
And, I'll see you guys soon. Everyone, good luck out there. Happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you guys next week.
There he is, the Brain. Thanks, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving. We'll see you later.
We all silly like the mayor.